test Friday?
8.4, probably, yes. 8.4 is the slope of a line, okay? Slope is the ratio of the line's vertical change to its horizontal change, okay? The vertical change is called my rise, how far I'm rising up or rising down, like falling or going, okay? Horizontal change is called my run, how far I'm going negatively or positively. Slope equals rise over run. This M, if you see this lowercase m, it stands for slope. So when they say M equals rise over run, they're asking what is the slope?
What if it's an uppercase one?
That's something different, it's not slope. We'll get to that later. Not maybe this year. Okay. So that lowercase m, anytime you see that when we're dealing with lines, stands for slope. So if they say something like this, if they ask you, what is the, and it looks like an M, they're asking, what's the slope? Okay, you have to be able to recognize that. Cool? Okay, because we're going to get an equation later called slope-intercept form that's going to help us graph it super easy. And you have to be able to identify what that is, okay? So my slope is my rise over my run. So how far I travel up or down over how far I travel west or east, okay? A wakeboard ramp has a rise of 6 feet and a run of 10 feet. Find the slope of the ramp. So here's this ramp, right? And they said, when I go up this ramp, it rises 6 total feet and it runs 10 total feet. So it starts here and it ends 10 feet long, 6 feet high. What's my slope? How do I set that up? Oh, okay, great. What?
M equals 6
Uh-huh.
over 10.
Good. Now, here's the deal. With slope, I always want to reduce. So what's 6 over 10 reduced to?
5 over 3. I mean 3 over 5.
Yeah, 3 over
5 over 3.
3 over 5. He's right. 3 over 5. So my slope is 3 over 5. Okay? I rise 3 units and I run 5 units. Okay? That's how I'm going to find a slope. Here's a bunch of other ones. Here's one here on a graph. They give you a point on this graph, 3, 1, and they give you a point 5, 4. What is the slope? Carter? How do you think we set that up?
I'm gonna say 3. M equals 3. Oh gosh.
Okay, let me give you a hint. What is your rise, the X or the Y? Y. Okay, so let's look at the Y points first. Now over here it says vertical change equals my rise, right? What does it mean when something's changing? What am I doing?
You're adding.
Adding or I'm subtracting, essentially, yes? Okay? So if I want to solve this, I'm going to take this 4 and I'm going to subtract 1 from it to figure out what my rise is. Okay? So what am I going to do to figure out what my run is?
5 minus 3.
5 minus 3. Okay? So if I have 4 minus 1, what do you get?
3.
And what's 5 minus 3?
2.
This is my slope. Okay? Change. So another way that you're going to hear it worded is change in Y over change in X. Okay? So rise is my change in Y over my change in X. If that's an easier way for you to remember. Yes.
Do you want us to put it in a mixed number or keep it just like
No, I want it kept like that. I want it kept like that. Okay? Keep it as an improper fraction. So when we go to use that for graphing, it's going to make it easier because it tells me I'm going to go up 3 and over 2, up 3 and over 2, up 3 and over 2. Every point will be 3 up and over 2. Do you remember, I think it was Sierra maybe last week or Sydney, I can't remember which one, said when we were graphing those things when Mr. Rice was in this room, yeah, we were graphing and they said, oh, it's just a difference of 3, it's a difference of 3, it's a difference of 3 every time that we were getting outputs. Okay? That's what my rise and run is. It's my difference between all of those points. Okay? So it makes it easier. Now, look at these 4 graphs. Okay? They talk about this When we talk about slopes, we have positive slopes, negative slopes, a zero slope, and an undefined slope. So think about it as if you're walking, okay? If I'm walking up a hill, I'm gaining positive ground. I'm going up positively, okay? I'm rising, okay? My line rises. We always read it from left to right. This line is rising. I have a positive slope, okay? If I'm walking downhill, okay, I have a negative slope, okay? My line is falling. Left to right, my line is falling. I'm walking it down, it's negative. If I'm walking straight across on flat ground, okay, I'm not rising and I'm not running, okay? I'm just walking straight across. So that slope is called a zero slope, okay? Which means this. When you get a zero slope, that means when I set up this m equals rise over run, whatever happens, there's going to be a zero on the top. Whether it's 0 over 1 or 0 over 14 or 40 or whatever, or negative 2, if the 0 is on top, I have a zero slope, okay? Which means my line is horizontal, okay? If I have something called an undefined slope, I get a vertical line, okay? It's like a pole. You can only slide down a pole, right? I can't walk up a pole or walk on a pole or walk across a pole or down a pole. I can only slide. It's an undefined slope. This is when you get an undefined slope. When your slope ends up having a 0 in the denominator. No matter what that top number is, if the denominator is 0, it's undefined. Can't I have a 0 in my denominator? No. That's why it's undefined. Okay? You can't have a 0 in the denominator. That's when I know it's undefined. So, I have 4 graphs up here. We're going to find the slopes of them, and then we're going to classify them. Positive, negative, 0, slope, or undefined. And you're going to do that on your homework a lot tonight, too. Okay? So look at this one here. How do I figure out what the slope is of that line that's 1, 2, 4, 5? Yeah, Emma? Yep. Not my x. My x is not on top. What's on top? Yes, 5 minus 2. Y is on top. X is on bottom. What's 5 minus 2? And 4 minus 1 is? Ooh, okay.
Y is on top?
Yeah.
Yes.
So m equals 1. Y's on top.
So so this is what's happening. Watch. When I look at this point, I go up 1, 2, 3, and I go over 1, 2, 3, and I make my next point. See? Rise over run. So my slope is 3 over 3. Okay? You can change that to 1 if you want to, because it's a whole number. But don't change into mixed numbers for me, okay? Now, is my slope positive, negative, 0, or undefined?
Positive.
Positive. Positive. Yeah, Craig?
So we're not going to have to graph anything on this lesson?
Yes, you are going to have to graph. And then you're going to have to find the slope.
Graph what?
But you can graph using your x and y intercepts. You don't have to graph using chart. Okay? Now here, how do I find my slope? E.
1 m equals 1 minus negative 3
Good. Over.
over 3 minus, no.
You have to use the same x. If you start with this y, I have to start with this x. Okay? So whatever y is here, the x has to go under it. So 0 minus 3. What is 1 minus negative 3? So 1 plus 3 is, and then I get what on bottom? So my slope, okay, is 4 over negative 3. So is it a positive, a negative, 0, or undefined? Negative. Now, in order for it to be a negative slope, that means that this slope has to come out with a negative number, which it did, okay? So that's another way to tell. This is a positive number, it's a positive slope. If this is a negative number, it's a negative slope. Okay, how do I do this one? Okay, what, Josh?
So how do you know if you add again?
It was a double negative. The rule is you're always subtracting. But when I put the subtraction sign in here, there was already a negative sign, which made it positive. Okay? Yes, Carter.
I'm sorry.
Okay, what do we got?
It would be m equals, is it, 3 minus 3,
Okay,
and 1 minus 4.
okay, so you end up getting,
0 over
Okay, and so that tells me what about my slope?
It's a zero.
A zero slope. It doesn't matter what's in that bottom because zero's up top, so it's a zero slope. Okay,
Can I?
what? You wanna do this one? Okay, tell me how to set it up.
Is that a 5 or 3?
It's a 3.
Okay. You would do 3 plus -1.
No. 3 minus
Three.
-1, so that turns into a positive.
Okay.
Okay? Over what?
Is that 2?
Yep,
2 minus
yep.
2?
So here this turns into a positive, so what do I get up top?
4.
And on bottom I get,
0.
so what is that?
Undefined.
Undefined. Okay, undefined. So that's what you're gonna have to start doing for me. Let's talk about this word problem, then I'm gonna do one more thing after this. Okay, so here's a graph, okay? They show that it starts at 0, 0, they have a point listed at 252 and 7, 182. This is my distance in feet, this is my time in seconds. The slope of the line gives the wakeboarder's speed, which is the rate of change in distance traveled with respect to time. Find the wakeboarder's speed. How would I find that?
You would use.
What's that number?
What, this? Oh, 7, 182.
You would do 7. You would do 182 minus.
Okay.
That's 52.
2 and 52, yep.
57.
Minus 52 over what?
7 minus 3.
Minus 2.
I mean 2.
Okay, what's 182 minus 52? What's-
130. No, 30. Wait, no, 30. No. Wait.
No, you're right the first time.
No,
130.
Oh, 130.
And what is 7 minus 2?
5.
So what? Okay, so I have 130 over 5, yes? Okay, but they want to know how many seconds it takes, right? Find the wakeboard, no, the speed. They want to know the speed. And right now, if I have y over x, what do I have? I have blank over blank. Feet over seconds. Okay? And if they want to figure out the speed, that means I need to actually do what with that number?
Divide.
Divide it. So what's 130 divided by 5?
26.
I got it.
26.
26. So you get an answer of,
6 miles per hour.
no, what distance is this?
I can't.
Feet per,
Seconds.
so I get 26 feet per second. So sometimes we use slope to actually calculate the distance we're traveling or what we're doing, okay? And when that happens, I want to divide it out. But if I'm using slope to graph, don't change it from an improper number right now, okay? Because it will make it confusing later on. So there's one other way they're going to show this to you on your homework. Well, 2 other ways. And we're going to do one of each of those to kind of give you an example. So they might say you have a point of 6, 3 and another point of 3, 1. Find the slope. Okay, so that's not on a graph, but how do I set that up?
6. No.
M equals.
Yep, m equals
M equals 3 minus 1.
No, 1 minus
3 minus
3
1.
minus
That's
1.
fine, we can do it that way. 3 minus 1 over what?
6 minus 3.
Okay, and what's 3 minus 1?
2.
And what's 6 minus 3? And so that's my slope. So if they give it to you with just points, no graph, that's how you set it up. Okay?
No.
What, Carter?
Ask you to graph that.
No, they're not going to ask you to graph that, but they are going to give you, let me show you what they're going to do with graphing. So let's say they give you an equation that says x plus 2y equals 6. Okay? They might give you an equation that looks like that. Okay? And then they're going to say find the coordinates of the 2 points on the line with the given equation. Then use the points to find the slope of the line. Okay? So find the coordinates of the 2 points on the line with the given equation. Then use the slope, okay, to find the line. So when they ask you to find the coordinates of the 2 points, what 2 coordinates do you think they're asking you to find?
X
X and Y intercepts. Okay, so let's start with that. What's my X intercept?
6.
Yeah, it is going to be 6. Because I plug 0 in here, right? And it's just X equals 6. So 6, 0. Okay, what's my Y intercept? 3. because I plug 0 in here and I divide by 2 and you get 3, okay? Now they want us to find the slope. So what am I going to do with those 2 points?
Graph those. Well, you're gonna do m equals.
Yeah, do I have to graph it? No, I can find the slope off of any 2 points of my line. So if I use my x and y intercepts, I can always find my slope. Does that make sense? Makes it easier than having to graph it and then figure out 2 more points and whatever. So how do I set up my slope off of this?
0 minus 3.
0 minus 3 over,
6 minus 0.
okay, so what's this?
Negative
Negative
3.
3.
Over,
6.
which reduces to,
Negative 1 over 2.
good, and that's what they're going to ask you to keep as your slope.
Isn't it negative 6?
No, because it's 6 minus 0.
How do we know which one to subtract from?
Okay, so it doesn't matter. If I choose this as my y that comes first, then my x has to go right under it.
So there could be 2 different.
No, because if I do it the other way, let's say I chose this one first, right? 3, okay? So if I choose 3 first, then I have 3 minus 0 over 0 minus 6. I still get 3 over negative 6, which is still negative 1/2. So you're going to get the right answer as long as, it doesn't matter which order you use, as long as if you have this y listed first, the x has to be listed first that goes with it. Okay? The only way you will mess it up is if you put this y first and this x first. Okay? Otherwise, it doesn't matter which order you do it in. It doesn't matter if I subtract this from this or this from this. I usually try to set it up so that positive things come out. That's just how I am. So I don't like dealing with negative stuff. But that's just me. It's up to you, though. So you can do it either way, okay? So on your homework tonight, it doesn't look like you have to actually graph things, but you are going to have to use your knowledge from last section of x and y intercepts so that you can find 2 points, then find a slope off of it. Yeah, Emma? Yeah. Okay. I'll give you your homework.